There was a time that our ancestors lived in connection with creation, the collective, and the web of life. And this is how we defined wellness. And then the colonizer came, severed us, and fragmented our minds. And this is the psychology of today. If you've been seeking healing and feel that Western therapy has fallen short, this video is for you. Saludos, I'm Dr. Rocio. I am a seer, a medicine woman, and a counseling psychology PhD, and my work is at the intersections of decolonizing, wellness, and spirituality. The first teaching is how Western therapy, something that is meant to help us, is actually a colonial tool and tactic. In Western mainstream therapy, we are mostly treated as individuals. Our problems are viewed at an individual level, and so are the solutions. What we bring to therapy is solely focused on how we operate as individual people, and our wellness and our health is determined by how we exist as individuals, not how we function in our communities and families. I want to say that again, that under Western mainstream therapy, our health is determined on an individual level and not how we contribute to our communities or to our families. This is how the indoctrination of colonial therapy begins. We begin to be solely focused on our individual lives, and our wellness is determined by how we exist as hyper-individual beings. This is a colonial tactic to get us to disconnect from the collective. Under Western mainstream therapy, not only are we encouraged, indoctrinated to disconnect from the collective, but how the collective impacts us as individuals is largely ignored. Especially in these times, it's important to understand how oppressive systems impact us and how what we bring likely to therapy, maybe the emotions, the heaviness, all of that is impacted by the systems that we live in. One of the issues that I have with Western mainstream therapy is that rather than viewing the emotions, the heaviness that we bring as appropriate reactions to the oppressive systems we live in, we are given a diagnosis. We are given a diagnosis of depression or anxiety instead of seeing that these are valid reactions to oppressive systems. These are valid reactions to colonial violence. This pathologizing of our appropriate reactions is also a colonial strategy. It encourages us, indoctrinates us to see ourselves as the problem rather than finding fault in the systems and the world we live in so that we are encouraged to change it. Existing solely at the level of the mind, solely focusing on the individual, ignoring the systems that we live in, this continues a cycle of unwellness. This is why often Western mainstream therapy falls short. If you have benefited from what I've shared, I want to encourage you to sign up for my newsletter in the link in the description, where you will receive weekly messages to support you on your decolonial and spiritual journey. The second teaching is how we begin to decolonize psychology. It is important for us to remember that we are collective beings, that we are also a part of the natural world, a part of creation. We are not separate from it. We are not separate from the land, from the elements, from the trees, from the waters. We are deeply connected to it. We are also meant to live in connection with our families, with our relations, with our communities, and with the greater collective. And the more that we are able to cultivate these connections with the natural world, with our families, and with our communities, the more well we are. And so really what I'm speaking about is a returning to our ancestral ways, that for us to decolonize psychology, we need to remember that we are not meant to exist fragmented from the web of life, that we are not meant to exist severed from the collective, that when we exist as individual beings, we are living colonial lives. Connection with creation and the web of life, connection with our families and our communities is also how we improve our mental health. This is how we begin to decolonize psychology. In addition to being connected to the natural world, to the universe, and to our relations, it's also important to not fragment our minds from our bodies and from our spirit. Our somatic health, our spiritual health is just as important as our mental health. And we are actually meant to exist as whole beings. And so our wellness is not just tied to our emotions and our thoughts, our behaviors, but also how is our body feeling? How are we tending to the sensations in our body? Are we listening and caring for our body? Are we also connected to the spiritual realms and receiving guidance from the spirits? Are we giving offerings to our ancestors and the spirit guides that are meant to support us? This is all part of our wellness, and this is how we can begin to decolonize psychology by no longer fragmenting ourselves, by beginning to put ourselves back together. I'd love to hear what you're receiving from today's teaching. Let me know in the comments what has resonated for you. It is my hope that from today's video, you begin to activate your ancestral memory and remember that our psychology is connected to all of creation and our relations so that you can be well.